Hey guys, Project Zodiac here. I'm back with another video, and I'm sorry that this one's being a little bit handheld. It's 1 a.m. I just finished watching a movie. I don't want to get my tripod, so sorry if it's gonna be a little shaky. But I just finished watching Pinocchio, the new Disney live action remake of Pinocchio, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't done a movie review in a while. I mean, I did, but I haven't uploaded it. It was for Jurassic World Dominion, I think. I didn't upload that one. But I just thought, you know what? I just finished watching the movie right now at home. Let me just make a review for it. So that's why I'm making this review. And also just because honestly, this movie surprised me. I grew up watching the original Pinocchio movie. It's a movie that's very special to me, and it means a lot to me for many different reasons. Um, and when I heard that they were remaking it, and not only are we getting a remake now, but we're actually getting a different version of the story later in December from Guillermo del Toro. Um, so I'm really excited to see that because it's basically supposed to be kind of like stop motion, and I don't know, that looks really cool. But yeah, this live action one, and it's supposed to have Tom Hanks, Luke Evans. I'm like, this sounds really cool, and it's like Disney's remake. It's unlike the Guillermo del Toro one, which is his own version of the movie or of the story. Sorry. So I'm like, all right, I'm really excited for this movie, and honestly, it came out yesterday. Today is the 9th. Yeah, and I've just been so excited for it. I've really wanted to watch it, and it came out yesterday. I was really busy, and I'm like, you know what? I have so much stuff to do. I had homework. I had work until 7:30, and then I still had homework, and then other stuff to take care of. So I'm like, I want to watch it when I'm a little bit more relaxed. So what I did instead was I watched the original yesterday night. Um, and I guess I'll give that a mini review. I mean, it's still a classic, you know. But when I was watching that movie, I'm like, I wonder what are they gonna change. And then when we get to the Pleasure Island scene, I'm like, yeah, there's no way that they're gonna show Pinocchio and his friend and everybody there smoking and drinking. There's just no way Disney's gonna allow that to pass. Um, with this remake. But yeah, the original is just a classic, and the if when you wish upon a star song, it's just amazing. Uh, so yeah, that's a small little review for the original, but we're reviewing the new movie. So yeah, the original is a classic. Everyone should definitely watch it. Even the animation for it is just amazing. But if I go into an actual review of that, we will probably be here for 15 minutes with me saying so many stories. So let's just go into the remake. So the remake, okay. Before I saw this movie, there was so many pictures of like the CGI. There was so many pictures of the sets. There was so many pictures of everything, and I'm just like, I don't know. This doesn't really look good. And I was a little bit panicky. It looked like terrible. It really made me a little bit worried. Um, and then like the reviewers started reviewing this movie, and they're like, it's a lifeless movie, and it doesn't do anything different, or oh, it changes too much, or they just kept saying all of these different things, and then I really started getting worried because I'm not somebody that likes to watch movie reviews because I tend to like things people don't. And oftentimes I'll appreciate like a lot of things that people don't. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit worried because this is a classic. I really hope Disney did not screw this up. Um, and then I watched it and I just finished, and it's 30 minutes longer than the one from the 1940s. And honestly, I was surprised because I was really expecting to not like the movie because of what everyone kept saying, but honestly, I really did. I would say that this one is probably tied with Beauty and sorry, you can tell I'm tired. It's probably tied with Beauty and the Beast as my favorite of the remakes. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end, but I don't understand where people are coming from with this movie, so I kind of also just wanted to defend it. That's one of the reasons why I even made this video, is because I really want to defend it. It's not bad, like they expanded on so much. They actually explain why Geppetto wants, why he built Pinocchio. I mean, I never cared about why before, uh, but at least they actually gave him so much more depth. Um, they gave Jiminy. Honestly, I feel like Jiminy is a little worse on this one. But Jiminy is still Jiminy. He acts like Jiminy, and he's pretty cool. Even the fox, I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry. But even the fox and I think it's the cat, like his companion, like they were fantastic too. Especially that fox. I'm just like, the dude playing this fox. He's probably having such a fun time. Like, um, they even showed like Pinocchio like trying to go to school. It's just they did a lot of right things. And yes, they did change some things. They did expand on some things. They definitely added some things that was not in the original. But honestly, a lot of the things that they added makes kind of sense. The only thing really that I'm confused about is that doll, not the doll, the other puppet, the one that Pinocchio befriends from the girl with the broken leg. Um, is she alive? Because she kept moving her eyes. So I'm like, is that puppet somewhat alive? And she's just pretending she's not. I'm so confused with this puppet. Um, but then other times you could tell that it was just the girl playing as the puppet. But again, when that girl wasn't playing with the puppet would move its eyes. And I'm like, are you alive? Um, so yeah, that was a little confusing for me. But and on top of that, the only other thing that I can really think about that was a little bit confusing was the blue fairy. And I guess we should just talk about that first. That blue fairy is one of my complaints, and the only reason why I'm complaining about the blue fairy is because I thought she did a really really good job as the blue fairy. So, but the thing that I'm complaining about isn't the actress. It's not about the performance. It's not none about that. It's how they wrote her. Because in the original, the Blue Fairy knows exactly who Geppetto is. She knows exactly what his wish was, and she knows exactly who Pinocchio is. In this one, she shows up like after Geppetto makes his wish, and then she's like, and like she shines the light and then hits Pinocchio. Pinocchio becomes sentient, and um, and then she comes in when Pinocchio's already talking with Jiminy. So they kind of changed some stuff there. Again, it's not too much of a big deal, but she shows up and she's like, "Who are you?" And then Jiminy's like, "Him. He's Pinocchio." And she's like, "What?" And it's like they wrote her as if she doesn't even know what she just did, even though she granted Geppetto's wish. So, how can you not know what's going on when you're the one who granted his wish? I mean, she does make the statement that like Geppetto's wish was a little bit jumbled. It's like he didn't fully know what he wanted, but the core of it was to have a son again. Um, but it just kind of makes it seem like she had no idea what she did, and it was kind of like Pinocchio being sentient was an accident, and that's why she was a little confused. But then she acts as if she knows what's going on too. So I don't know, the way that they wrote her in that scene, I just didn't really like too much. But then after the little introduction, I thought that they did a pretty good job with her, especially the effects. I mean, she looked really cool. um yeah, really, that's probably the biggest complaints I have. And yes, they censored Pinocchio. There's no drinking or smoking in this movie. I mean, they do drink root beer, but that's a soda. It's not even beer at all. Um, and also, there was also those weird fog things, and I'm like, what are these? They're cool, and it kind of adds more to the nature of the story being a fantasy. So I didn't mind them too much. I'm just like, can you guys at least explain what they are? But given that we also just have a talking giant fox that dresses like a human, I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm letting the fog beasts slide because they're cool. And honestly, it kind of adds to the more magical nature of it, so I'm not complaining. Um, some of the musical stuff that they added, some of the new songs, they kind of didn't really matter to me too much. The one that the girl sings, the marionette one, I think that that one was really well done though. I did really enjoy that one. She has a really beautiful voice. Um, but yeah, so on top of that, I'm just trying to, because I did not rehearse this. I'm just like, let me just grab my camera and just record, um, and just like say my thoughts out loud because I literally just finished this movie like 15 minutes ago. Um, so yeah, and I also really, and I mean, there's still some things I definitely want to say, but before that, um, one thing that I always wondered was, um, how is it that nobody ever comments on a talking walking puppet that is sentient? Even in the original, I'm just like, Geppetto just casually sends this dude to school without explaining anything to anyone. Everyone's gonna be seeing this puppet walking around by itself and talking. Are they not asking any questions? And then I kind of hope that they would address that in this movie, the remake, but they kind of didn't. So in fact, they add on to it, and it makes me even more confused because again, they show Pinocchio trying to go to school and people interacting with him. So I'm like, okay, so you guys are aware that he's a puppet, right? And I mean, yes, that there's like a giant fox that dresses like a human and talks and sings. And yes, there's animals that talk, that's fine, but like, and then there's a giant whale that's the size of an island, and I don't know, it just those, and then like there's an island itself that turns kids into donkeys, and they ship those kids out to like salt mines and things like that. But all of that kind of made sense in the world of Pinocchio. Even Pinocchio himself, he makes sense, but I always just felt like everything else makes sense, like for outsiders to see, except for a walking puppet for some reason. Even though the magic itself makes sense, I always just felt like, so nobody's questioning the walking puppet. I mean, yes, they're used to the animals, yes, they're used to the magic, yes, they're used to like all of this and that, but like, how many walking puppets do you see in this small little Italian village? Like, are you seriously not questioning the puppet? So that's basically what I always thought, and sadly they didn't really address that on this one. But yeah, really, I think that's about all of my complaints. Oh, right, one last complaint actually. So my last complaint is that, oh, two last complaints. It's that even though they kind of went out of the way to make this little village feel a little bit more alive than on the original movie, it was very little that they tried. Almost like just probably like four other people in the background and like a couple of different scenes. So the village itself kind of feels lifeless for me. Um, and then the second worst complaint that I have, or the next and last worst complaint that I have, is the CGI in a way. Because some of the CGI looked really cool, and some of it just looked like off, especially for Figaro, and especially when Geppetto is holding Pinocchio. Um, and so it was mostly that, and then like there was even some other characters holding Pinocchio, and they made the CGI look better for that, but not when Geppetto was holding Pinocchio. So I was a little bit confused about that. Um, but with that said, uh, those pictures, those initial pictures, and I said like, this looks terrible. Why does Pinocchio look like that? Um, so I was really scared, and then I was surprised when like, because I thought it was just gonna be a CGI thing, and I thought that there wasn't really gonna be any sets or anything like that. From what I read, I thought it was just like Geppetto's house is a set, and then like one other place is a set, everything else is like just a sound stage or a CGI stage, or sorry, a green screen stage. Um, but no, there's a good amount of sets here for sure, and it looked pretty cool. But my biggest worry was Pinocchio. I'm like, he's gonna look terrible. Why did they go with this style of CGI? And then as I watched the movie, right before Pinocchio becomes a human, or not a human, a living thing, um, they had an actual puppet, and I'm just looking at this puppet. I'm like, this puppet looks so good. Why didn't they just go with this and just like CGI the face and stuff like that? They could have like been actually going with like an actual puppeteer. I would have think that that would have been amazing. And if they wanted to, then they could CGI the face. Um, because like right when Pinocchio becomes living, I'm just like, this looks bad. And then, but after that initial scene, and for most of the movie, I kind of got used to it. I'm like, actually, you know what? He's not that bad. I feel like the still pictures that they sent was probably like some of the worst sections of the movie where like he didn't look as polished, but everything else, I mean, I thought it worked, so I was really, really surprised by that. And I'm really grateful because I did not think he was as bad as the pictures looked. And I even like, especially in motion, like he looked really, really good. Um, and how he interacted with stuff. Again, the biggest issues was just a few shots here and there, like throughout the movie. And then when Geppetto is holding him, and then also Figaro. Figaro, for some reason, they just did a really bad job. I feel like they did such a great job with Chloe that they did like focus more on the fish than they did on the cat. But I mean, a fish is probably easier to CGI than a cat with fur. So, but yeah, I thought that that was pretty well done. Again, the new things that they added, I thought it was fantastic new things. And overall, I was just honestly impressed with the movie. I think that they did a fantastic job expanding on the movie, retelling the movie, changing some stuff. Don't know why the blue fairy didn't show up again to save Pinocchio, but I did like that the way that his nose shrank was by him telling the truth. And I always, ever since I was little, I'm like, can't he just like tell the truth to make it go back? And I'm glad that that's what they did. So it made sense for me. And again, Geppetto's backstory and all the clocks, and yeah, let's just talk about Geppetto. He was so well performed, so well done. Tom Hanks is always a great actor, but honestly, this is one of my favorite roles as him because he put so much care into Geppetto that I'm like, I feel like this dude is my grandpa, or I feel like he's like my dad. Like there's so much care in Geppetto that it really made me feel like, yeah, no, Tom Hanks is the live action version of Geppetto from Disney's original movie. Like, I don't think they could have picked someone else to be him. Like, he's just like the original and probably a little bit better too in some ways. He definitely has that caring nature. He definitely has that sympathetic nature. I don't know. They just did a fantastic job with Geppetto, and Tom Hanks' performance is amazing. I saw one review right after the movie where they were like, between this and his performance in Elvis, his performance in Elvis is so much better. In this one, it sounds like he didn't even care. And I saw that review and I'm like, dude, are we seeing the same thing? He cared in both movies. He definitely did an amazing performance in both movies because Elvis was a fantastic movie too, and he was really, really good in that movie. But in this one, it's just different. I really, really feel like for this one, he did such a better job acting in this one than he did in Elvis. I don't know. I just really, really liked his performance as Geppetto, and yeah, like just his backstory, everything that he went through, all he does to save his son, and it was just amazing. And I mean, there was a few scenes towards the end of the movie, right before they get swallowed, where he just kind of drops his accent, and but honestly, it added to the humor nature of that scene, where Pinocchio is telling him like, "This is everything I did," and he's like, "You did all of that in one day?" And Pinocchio is like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I haven't done half of that in my life." And when he did that, I just bursted out laughing because honestly, that was pretty funny. Um, I don't know. It was just so well done, and there's a lot of charm. Um, Again, like the very beginning of the movie, I was just like really worried, but then after the blue fairy scene, um, then I'm like, yeah, no, they're definitely putting a lot of care into this movie. I don't understand the criticism, like, and then I like kept seeing some reviewers where they were like, this is totally different. It just shows how lifeless Disney is with its remakes and stuff like that. And I'm like, have you seen the original? Because you definitely look like you're old enough to have seen the original. I mean, you look like you were almost, like close to being born when that original movie was released. No offense to some of the older reviewers. Um, so I'm like, so I'm pretty sure you've seen the original. How are you saying that this is lifeless and that is too different from the original? They added a few things, yeah, but like, I don't understand your complaint. Like, are you complaining just to complain? This is a very enjoyable, good movie. Um, and then some people saying that it's too similar to the original. Some people saying it's too different. I'm like, do you guys want? So you guys complain when Disney makes a remake that's one on one to the original because you want it to be different, and then they do one that is different, and then you complain that it's not one on one to the original, and then when they try to find a balance between the two, you complain on both ends. So like, what do you guys actually want? Do you want just a totally different version? Or do you want to see these classic movies in live action? Because if you want a totally different version, why do you complain that it's not like the original? And then when it's like the original, why do you complain that it's too different? Again, criticism is valid, but when it's like that and it's just so polarizing, like it just feels like you're complaining just to complain about something, like, and that kind of leads into what I want to talk about with the other movies, the other live action movies. For me, Beauty and the Beast is the best one of the remakes. Pinocchio, it's probably tied with Beauty and the Beast, or it's my second favorite. Um, Aladdin. I mean, okay. Before we get into the other ones, there's Cruella, there's Maleficent. Maleficent, both of them are amazing, but they're not. They're just very very different. So we're not even counting that right now. But again, they're very very different. But I still prefer um, Pinocchio and Beauty and the Beast. Um, so I guess I would list them as my third favorite. Cinderella I haven't seen. Honestly, I keep forgetting Cinderella even came out. I should really see that one. Um, and then Cruella, it was good, but it was basically a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, so you can't even really call it a remake. But it was good, so I would put it in my fifth, I guess. Um, and then like I guess for fourth, I would definitely probably put Lion King or Aladdin. I have to see which of the two I kind of prefer. Look, Lion King was good. People like to bash on it. There was just something that was missing, something that made it feel a little bit lifeless or hollow, but it was good. I still enjoyed it, and it was impressive. Aladdin, same thing. It was good. It was enjoyable. Except my complaint with Aladdin is some of the things there felt forced, as opposed to, for example, Pinocchio, where some of the things they added on did not feel forced. Like honestly, the Jasmine song in Aladdin felt completely out of nowhere, and it made no sense. I guess it was to show us her inner thoughts, and that's fine. But it just stood out so badly. They could have done that so much better. Whereas the girl's song in this one, the one that I mentioned, it was amazing and it fits so well with this character, so well with that scene. So they did that right in this one. I'm just saying, for Aladdin, it did not work. It just felt completely random. Jasmine's solo song, but again, I forgot the name of the girl, but the girl in Stromboli's carnival puppet show thing, hers felt natural. It felt earned. It felt like, yeah, this is something that this girl would do on her own. It really felt natural, and I loved that song. I thought it was pretty good. So again, the Aladdin movie basically put things a little bit forceful, so that's why I kind of tie with the Lion King, because even though it was good, some stuff was missing. Mulan, they butchered. It was a good movie, but as a Disney remake to the Mulan Disney movie, they butchered it completely. Like, I'm sorry. But it was as a movie itself, it was enjoyable. It was good, but as a Disney's remake, it kind of sucked. So that's kind of gonna be my least favorite one. So I guess I would even say Cruella was better than it. But yeah, and I have not watched Pete's Dragon. I don't even think I've seen the original one, honestly. Um, but yeah, so that's where I kind of rank them so far right now. And yeah, I don't know, guys. This movie is being bashed on too much. Um, and really, some of the reasons why it's really surprising for me. And honestly, it's almost like they're just complaining just to complain. So I want to defend the movie. This movie was good. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, I feel bad for this movie. It's being bashed too much. Let me just make a review. At least having one reviewer who is actually praising a lot of the things that they did in this movie, even some of the changes that they did, like Pinocchio having his ears or his donkey stuff changed earlier and stuff like that. I don't mind it. Like it works with the story that they are telling and staying true to the original. So again, the changes that they did, for the most part, they're worth it. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It was just really, really good. I really do think people should definitely be kinder to this movie. I don't really understand where the criticism is coming from, because again, criticism is fine, but this isn't doesn't even feel like criticism. It just feels like you're bashing a movie for no reason. Um, Although I will say this, one criticism I do definitely have, they should have just played the whole "When You Wish Upon a Star" playing in the very intro of the movie, instead of just like 3 lines. Um, but with that said, though, they do play it at the end. So and the Blue Fairy does sing it when she's leaving Geppetto's house. So at least we get it, and at least at the end it's fully played. So I can't complain too much about that. Um, but yeah, guys, this movie was good. Definitely watch it, and understand, like it works. And I really, really think that people should be kinder to this movie. Because yeah, they're treating it like I've seen so many people giving it 2 out of 5 stars. I'm like, how? How? Like, what about this movie makes it a 2 out of 5 star? Because it's honestly enjoyable. There's honestly charm here. So I'm just really not understanding the criticism. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But please, let me know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy this movie? How do you guys think it compares to the original and also to the other Disney remakes that they're making? Um, please let me know because I want to get some understanding of how come people are being so critical over this one. Yeah, let me know. Again, for the Lion King one, I definitely understand why people are critical about it. Those points are a little bit valid. For Mulan, they're definitely valid. Aladdin, kind of valid. Some of their complaints against it. But again, these Disney movies remakes, they're not terrible. Really, two of them are my favorites, and then two other of them are kind of different. They're not really fully retelling, they're kind of doing their own things. And then the other ones that's basically identical are decent. They're not too bad. They're there. It's just something is missing. Um, so yeah, let me know what you guys think about all of this, and especially what you guys thought about Pinocchio. So I'm sorry this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be. Sometimes I do tend to ramble, but thank you guys for watching. With all that said, rate, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.